I'm Shari Guilfoile. The majority of people in our country believe in God. That's really good news. But here's some not so good news. Many of these people don't bring God into their everyday lives. I understand these people really well because for much of my life, I was just like that. My faith didn't have much impact as I moved through my day. Is there a problem with that? With not bringing God into your everyday life? Let's try to answer that question by imagining what it would look like if people did bring God into their everyday lives. Would our difficulties disappear? No. But we'd have more clarity and peace to deal with them. Would our relationships be stress-free? I don't think so. But when conflicts happen, we'd have more empathy and patience and find it so much easier to forgive. What about fear? Would we be free of fear when we think about the future? Probably not. But when fear crept into our thinking, we'd know how to set it aside or let it go. This kind of mindset sounds great to me, and I'll bet it sounds good to you too. But I imagine you may be thinking, good luck with making this happen. Luck has nothing to do with it, but you and I do. No matter where you stand on the spiritual spectrum, whether you're at one end where God's already central to your life, or whether you're at the other end where God isn't yet a big part of your everyday life, you can help make this happen. Here's why I feel so strongly about this. I was always a person of faith. I actually went to church virtually every week of my life, even as a college student when my parents weren't there to make sure I did. But looking back, I would characterize my faith at that time as lukewarm, because it didn't really impact how I led my life. Now, I felt I was a good person. I always tried to do the right thing. But of course, I knew many people who had no faith at all, who were really good people and consistently did the right thing. Instinctively, I knew that being a person of faith should make some kind of difference in my life, shouldn't it? But I didn't see any difference. Then Susan came into my life. We worked together at Ford Motor Company. I quickly learned that Susan relied on God in all aspects of her life. For example, she and I would often have to pitch new business ideas to the senior management team. So as we would prepare to ask senior management to fund, a $20 million project, I'm trying to anticipate the possible pushback we might get and plan how we might respond. And Susan, she'd just smile and say something like, "Shari, if that happens, God will give us the right words to say." At first I was thinking, are you kidding me? You're just going to trust God on this? But over time I realized that by bringing God into virtually all aspects of her life, God was responding to Susan. And then it dawned on me. God doesn't play favorites, so if I were to bring God into my everyday life, he'd probably respond to me as well. And he did. Look, I understand that you may not be comfortable announcing to your boss or to your coworkers that you're relying on God to help make some major business decisions. That's okay. You can be more subtle. For example, if someone shares with you a difficult situation they're facing, how about simply saying, "I'll pray for you"? I can't imagine a sincere statement like that would offend anyone, even a person with no faith. Or, let's say you've experienced a disappointment and someone says to you, "Gee, I'm sorry things didn't work out for you." How about responding with something like, "I'm disappointed, but I'm going to trust that God must have another plan for me." Okay, please notice that I'm not advocating that we teach religious doctrine or morality. And it's not about challenging people or trying to convince them of something. I'm simply suggesting that we share personal examples of what it looks like to have God in our everyday lives. The everyday places where we converge, at work, at school, even at family gatherings, they're less and less helpful in terms of feeding our faith. We're being told in the name of political correctness that our faith should be private and personal. That means people either have to carry their faith by themselves or not carry it at all. It shouldn't be that way. Each of us can be models, imperfect models, but models of how to live vibrantly in our secular world while still being people of faith. If we do this, guess what? We will become more aware of God in our everyday lives. And at the same time, we will create a groundswell of people who also bring God into their everyday lives. In a moment, we'll be talking to a person who does this really well. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.